Hello and welcome to Oscar's kitchen again. Today we're going to learn how to make and cook pinto beans from scratch. That's from the dried pinto beans to cooking them and making refried beans from the pinto beans. So here we go. Okay, while we're waiting, what we're going to do is review. Now, here's a package where it says pinto beans, and they're of course dried, and you can buy them in these little plastic bags and from just about anywhere. They're dried pinto beans. And the next thing you're going to need if you want to be very authentic is manteca, which is nothing but lard. Manteca is just a Spanish word meaning lard. So if you want to stay authentic, go get yourself some manteca. You don't have to get it in these big tubs. They have it in smaller tubs. If you don't want to do that, you don't want to get the lard, that's fine. You can use vegetable oil, which is a substitute, but it's not as good as lard, but it's usable, so that's fine. Another thing you're going to need is salt. So these three things, these three ingredients are some of the choices. So what we have here is an 8-quart pot. And I'm going to be working with about 2 pounds of dried pinto beans. Okay, so now you have your 8-quart pot and you have approximately 2 pounds of beans. What you're doing at this point is you're going to go through them, and what I call is cleaning them. What you're looking for is here is any kind of rocks going through these things and just cleaning them out. So here's a big stone that you want to throw on the side. You don't want to be chewing on that. So but this is some of the crud that I ran across. I'm going to go ahead and take a, if I can, get a close-up of this. And you can see they're just broken shards, little stones, little rocks, and things like that. Okay, so the next step here is to wash your beans out real good. We're getting them over the sink. Go ahead and run the water on them and clean your beans real good. So they're nice and water is nice and clean in there. The dry beans are catch a lot of dirt, so make sure you rinse those off pretty darn good. So clean them off real good. Then what you want to do is go ahead and fill your pot with water. About a good inch, inch and a half, maybe 2 inches. A couple inches is fine. And then what you're going to do is just let them sit anywhere you find a spot, and let them sit overnight, or at least try and get them, 12 hours soaking in fresh water. So here we go. Beans have been soaking now for about 12 hours or so. Overnight's fine. If you do them, if you go through them and clean them up, put them in some water, let them soak overnight is fine. 6-7 hours is fine too. What you want to do at this point is rinse them again, because overnight they've loosened up a lot of dirt or anything that was on those beans. So just go ahead and run the water on them, and they'll be kind of foamy and stuff. So that's all good. Okay, so after you get them pretty clean and you rinse those off a little bit, go ahead and fill your pot about an inch, inch and a half, maybe 2 inches above the bean line. Okay, go ahead and put your beans on the stove. And what you want to do is put them on high. Start cooking them, cook them on high. And now, basically, you're just going to play a waiting game here, because we have to wait, let these beans cook for about, this amount of beans probably going to take about 2 hours. It depends. If you're going to have cooked beans less, of course, your time's going to be less too. But for this amount of beans, I'm cooking about 2 pounds of beans, and it's going to take about 2 hours. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes now, and as you can see, the beans are starting to boil a little bit, and you're going to get this little foamy stuff on top of there. And personally, I don't know what the hell it is, but what I usually do is I'll scoop that stuff off. I don't know what it is, but it's another. It's another way of keeping your beans clean. It's probably going to be okay, and it probably won't hurt you, and probably about 90% of the people who cook beans don't even do this, and they'll probably say, "Why are you doing that?" And I'm like, well, I'm just cleaning them off. Okay, another thing is, if you notice back here, I've added a little auxiliary water pot. It's just plain water, and I put it on low back there. The reason that you want to do that is because you don't want to put cold water inside the beans. Obviously, as the beans boil, they're losing water. So you're going to have to replenish that water. When I said 2 hours, I didn't mean for you to go take a nap for 2 hours without watching your beans. You know, you're not going to go shopping. They require about every 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Make sure you check them, and stir the beans off the bottom. You know, and then you'll see they're starting to cook. Okay, so we're back. It's been about another 15-20 minutes, and as you can see, the beans are pretty close to the top. The water's been boiling down. So at this point, I got my boiling water in the back, and I'm just going to add probably about another, bring it back to where we started, about an inch. Replenish your water in the back, and wait about another 15 minutes, and we'll see you then. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes or so. You'll notice that the beans are starting to thicken, running out of water again. So at this point, go ahead and replenish your water. Bring it back up to about where it was in the beginning. Stir them. What you want to be doing is stirring these things occasionally, rotating the beans off the bottom onto the top. At this point, you want to add about a teaspoon of salt, just to bring out the flavor. And replenish your water in the back. There you go. We'll wait another 15 minutes, and then we'll go again. Once in a while, take your spoon and stir the beans, and as you can see, they're coming along pretty good. Okay, so it's been probably pretty close to an hour and a half, maybe a little less, and you'll see that the beans have thickened up quite a bit, and if you'll notice that they're pretty well on their way to being done, and they're still not quite there, but you can see how thick the beans have gotten. Probably about another 15 minutes. Now at this point you have to be very careful not to let the beans burn on the bottom. And you're going to notice that if you burn beans, you might as well just throw them out because they'll never taste good. They'll never taste good. So this is the last time I think we're going to add water. If you take a single bean and just squish it between your fingers, and if it squishes real easy, you're pretty well close to being done. Taste it at this point, and if it's hard or tough to chew, you got a way to go. If it feels right to you, it feels like it's just a little hard for me as far as beans go, so I would cook them for another 10-15 minutes on this way. If you taste the beans and you feel that you need more salt, you can add more salt to it if you want at this point. So use your judgment on that. Main thing is do not burn the beans. So when you feel something sticking on the bottom, you're pretty much close to being done. Another 10-15 minutes and you're through. Okay, so it's been about an hour and 40 minutes or so, and we're pretty much there, being done. As you can see, the water has turned almost into a bubbling cauldron here. It's it's a lot thicker. It's thick, and if you want, you can take out a bean, mash it, taste it, make sure it's it's done and to your liking. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to refry these beans into refried beans. So I'll come back once we set the things up. So the beans are done, they're all cooked, I pulled them off the stove, and what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to transfer, just for the sake of you, about 3 large spoonfuls of beans into a bowl, and then to that we're going to add just the liquid, as much of the liquid, probably about 4 spoonfuls of liquid. So this is basically what you have, is a kind of a liquidy amount of beans in here. They're about, so it's like about 3 spoonfuls of beans and 3 spoonfuls of liquid. And then what you want is your big, if you can, get a cast iron skillet and put, I'm using, you don't have to use lard or manteca. You can buy these just about any store in these tubs, and get, I usually get about 2 tablespoons. You can use less, and you can use vegetable oil. And what I like to do is get these on high. Put this on high. Now you got to get ready to kind of move on this because we're going to work fast. So have yourself a masher handy, and have yourself a you know, a large spoon handy so you can move stuff around. So you'll see that the lard is starting to move. Okay, so that's what the pan will look like with the if you use too much, it's not going to hurt it. If you use too less, it's not going to hurt it. What you want to do is put your flame on high and get that pan real hot. You want it nice and hot. Almost to the, well, you want it to, all your lard to be melted, and you want it to be smoking a little bit. So it's all glazed over and nice and hot. Now at this point you have to be real careful because we're going to add the beans in there, and it's going to be water onto oil, okay? But this is the only way to get really good refried beans, is to do this. So if you take a little drop and you put it in there and it sizzles like that, you know it's hot enough. So at this point, be very careful, stand back, and you'll put all your beans right into the pan, and you'll see it start to bubble and sizzle and do all kinds of things. Do not lower your heat. Keep your heat high. Okay? And at this point, what you want to do is start mashing your beans. Mash them. Good. Good. Keep the flame high. If you see that you're running out of liquid, you can always add more liquid to there. You can even add water. You can add, you know, that's why. So add liquid. Keep smashing these things. Keep your flame on high. Smash them until it's all okay. Keep smashing them. Keep your flame on high. Go all around. Smash those beans up. Stir it around. Fry them for 5 minutes or whatever, and keep smashing them till all the big beans are all smashed down, and you're going to wind up with something like oatmeal, actually. Alright, once you get these things down like this, basically shut it off. You're done. You got your refried beans right there. There you go. Well, there you go. Dry beans into refried beans. Cleaning them all the way to frying them. And of course, you can always add salt, more salt. If you want, you can add onions to those things, chopped up onions, and a lot of people like them in their burritos and different things. You can also add, of course, chili to them to make them, to spice them up. A lot of things you could do to them at that point. Use your imagination. You can also add, if you want, you can add fried hamburger to that and make like a little taco stuffing with hamburger and beans, refried beans. So you can go ahead and use your imagination with those. But thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video, and I hope that you got a little bit out of it, and I hope I was plain enough in showing you how to do it. But you do it. You gotta, again, don't burn them. you burn them, you're not gonna want them. So, bon appetit. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again.